This is a long-standing treaty. It's been around, and the United States has complied to the letter for a treaty that limits kind of intermediate-range missiles of various kinds, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles. And the significance is that Russia, since around the 2008 timeframe, began to violate this treaty. They didn't pull out of it, as one would normally do in that kind of circumstance, but instead kind of stayed in the treaty but just chose to violate it. And so over the past two administrations, Obama and Trump, called them out and said, look, we know you're violating it, you need to stop, and they chose not to do it. And so this is kind of the United States saying we're not going to be in a treaty that's one-sided, we're going to have to pull out. We will therefore be able to pursue some kind of capability to take missiles that we perhaps launch from the sea or something like that and put them on trucks, as it were. That gives us the ability to disperse things out and create some additional uncertainty on the part of our adversaries. That's good for deterrence, it's good for stability, because every day they wake up and they know that they can't decapitate our forces because they're more complicated to strike. And this is especially true for the Asia Pacific, where China, for instance, has many hundreds and hundreds of missiles that target U.S. bases and U.S. ships, and the U.S. doesn't have something comparable because we've been limited by the treaty. How is the table going to be reset here? And before we get into any kind of new treaty, we need to have the confidence that the Russians or Chinese or whomever else is actually going to comply. And that's the most important part. And in terms of, you might say, the New START follow-on or something like that, the big options are basically twofold or threefold. One is just to kind of extend it in the same way, just with Russia and just with some of their nuclear weapons. The second option is to have a more comprehensive treaty that covers all nuclear weapons with Russia, including so-called non-strategics, to which the Russians have a 10-to-1 advantage relative to the United States. And then finally, the third option is to try to bring in China. And that last one would be desirable, but how exactly we get China there is, it's going to take a little work, right? Because right now, China's enjoying the benefits of being completely unconstrained by INF, by New START, by anything. So getting China to the table will take a little bit of work.